Hey everybody, Jim and Amadeus here today. If it's Wednesday, it must be MLS. And so, Amadeus, here we are. The MLS season is clicking along, and looks like right now Miami, at least in the East, continues to pretty much have their way.
Yeah, not just in the East. They're at the top of the table right now. Obviously, they might have a match or two in
Right.
hand to some of the other teams below them. But yeah, they're trucking along. And ever since they got kicked out of the Champions Cup, they've been in better form
Right.
as most teams are because they only have the league to focus on. But yeah,
Hmm.
they've really been ramping it up. They had that 6-2 win the other day, scoring like
Hmm.
3-4 goals in every game. So yeah, good on Miami.
Hmm.
Obviously today we got the Derby, the Lions and the Herons. So we'll see what happens with that one. Should be a good one. For those of you who don't know, Miami won
I'm
the
one of them.
reverse fixture. Yeah, yeah. The Miami won the reverse fixture at first game of the season, I believe it was, 5
Yeah.
nothing. So little bit of a revenge factor here for Orlando. They get to be at home this time, but
Hmm.
not much of a travel for this Miami team. So
Well, that's the problem, okay? Because it's not much of a travel for the Miami fans either. So I guarantee if you tune in at 7:30 tonight on Apple TV, or if you have an MLE League Pass, um, you're going to see a lot of that lovely pink in the stands, and some loud cheering going on for Orlando Messi and his cohort. So Orlando, Orlando, frankly, is a bit of a disappointment, don't you think, this year so far?
yeah, they you know what? They're like the Marlins of the MLS. They came out and they just disappointed. This was a team that had the best away record in the MLS
Right.
last season. They were the number 2 seed in the East,
Hmm.
and they had a decent little playoff run there. But yeah,
Hmm.
they're starting to play better now. They did have that
Hmm.
big 3-2 win in Philadelphia. I think
Right.
it was two
Last
games
week.
ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they're starting to turn the corner now, hopefully, and we'll see. They got a lot of motivation tonight from that 5-0 loss earlier this season, and obviously, it's Messi. Who doesn't want to get up for the best player in the league on any
Right.
given night? So it should be an exciting match. That one's at 7:30, and
Hmm.
yeah, if you don't have 20 screens in front of you like me and Jim normally do,
Right.
then that might be the one game you're gonna watch at 7:30.
That's a good one because I also watch what in essence is the MLS's version of the red zone, um, which, by the way, isn't as easy to, you know, how in soccer you normally, it's not a 20-yard pass for a touchdown. The red zone uh, is kind of a misnomer, but they do try to catch. I have, they are, there's a little delay, so they know what's coming up. Okay, maybe it happened 20 seconds before they go there. Maybe it happened 30 seconds. Maybe they're just showing you a little bit of the game. But when goals are scored, they have a pretty good idea of when it's going to happen. Largely because it's already happened. So no spoiler alert there. Just it's
Yeah,
kind of like juiced up highlights. So there you go on
like
that one.
like like most things on the broadcasting end, there's usually that delay. You never know with the slip
Mhm.
ups and stuff. If I gotta beep something out, so that totally makes sense. I'm curious. I didn't know they had a little bit. They had a red zone version, so I'm
Mhm.
curious to see how it works because I'm sure it's very exciting because there's always a lot of matches. There's probably there's obviously going to always be action and goals to show you, but when there's not, I could definitely see it being a little more of a struggle because you don't know. At least with the NFL red zone, you can take it to a team that's like, oh, they're on the 30-yard line. Maybe they
Right.
don't score here, but they're close. Maybe they
Right.
will.
Maybe
And
they
it's
kick a
hard.
field goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to do that in soccer because it's like you could be on the attack and then all of a sudden the other team's going the other way, which is just as exciting, but it's harder to peg.
They rotate through about 6 or 8 people In other words, the crew tonight may not be the entire crew that you see on Saturday night. Okay. And what happens is the announcers and the analysts, are watching what's going on, but when nothing's going on, or as you said, when there's little going on, they have a chance to, yap at each other. And it's kind of funny because it's fun to watch because their dialogue between them through that entire, dead period is like, they may be saying, for instance, we just talked about Orlando and Miami. They may take a look at what's going on in Miami, I'm sorry, in Orlando, and say, I don't know what is going on in the head of, the coach in Orlando, but, they're not they're not pushing forward. They're not either they're lazy or they're afraid or I don't know what. So they do a lot of chatter in between that. And then when they do actually go to, to the action, they amp it up and they go to the announcers on site who bring you, that commentary, but they're not at all shy to criticize or to, cajole somebody if something's not right.
Yeah, well, hey, that's always good. It's nice to have that, that it's entertaining, right? You get the
Not fun,
commentary.
but yeah, it's there. Um, I would say, and one of my favorite shows like that to watch in real time is the MLB network because they don't know what's going on either. And they'll go to a game and you'll get, big poppies on the desk and you got Greg Ansinger, who's one of the greatest instigators of trouble in all of broadcasting. Um, and, they've got 5 or 6 different people that they rotate through and they don't go to the announcers. Okay. They are the announcers. So they literally, before the Mannings had a Manning cast, they had a game a week where they didn't use the announcers at the ballpark. What they did and what they still do is they get 4 easy chairs and they sit down in the easy chairs. They got popcorn, they got food, beverages on the side there, and they're just and they're commenting, doing a commentary on the game from the studio in their lazy boy chairs, just like you and I are, some of our friends will be coming over, and they decided to give it a try and see how it worked. That was 2 years ago. Now, pretty much everybody wants that kind of situation where you've got all these guys. They're loose. They don't care what they say, and fun with it. And then after the game, they drag in somebody from on the field. So the only person that they have at the park, would be a producer who would say, all right, he takes the headphones off, puts it on that, whoever the post game interview is, and they ask him about what happened. So uh, I think the MLS has certainly taken a look at that. That format that the Major League Baseball, MLB network has done, and it's a lot of fun. It is fun to watch. I'm not sure I want to watch every game like that, but it is fun to watch some.
Yeah, it's like getting that podcast,
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere while watching the game, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's like your Buffalo Wild Wings and enjoying the day. So anyway, of the 7:30 games, or I'll just make it this way, of the early games, counting both time zones here, the East and the Central. What are a couple of games that pop out to you tonight?
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones today. We'll go down the card here. I mean, there's a whole slate, but yeah,
Okay.
the first one on my list here is Montreal Columbus. I mean, to me, that's not too great of a game. Obviously, Columbus is the defending champions, but Montreal, man, it's a tough place to travel to, just because like it's not a place these teams go off, and when they
Mm-hmm.
do, I notice there's certain teams that just don't perform well there. That being said, wouldn't shock me if the game ended 0-0. So probably not the best game to watch tonight. As I said before, Orlando Inter Miami is going to be
Mm-hmm.
a great one there. You know, the Florida Derby or whatever you want to call it. That'll be a good one. I think DC United and the New York Red Bulls is going to be a good
Mm-hmm.
game. The Red Bulls got off to a bit of a faster start this season. They've calmed down a bit in the last few weeks, whereas
Mm-hmm.
DC is not in great form, but
Mm-hmm.
they have a good team. You know, they picked up Christian Benteke, who's a solid striker, and they've been scoring goals. So that one could be a bit of an exciting match. Cincinnati and Atlanta is not a bad one. Obviously, these two played, I think, a few weeks ago in Atlanta, and Cincinnati won that one 2-1. But now Cincinnati's the home team, and Cincinnati's, they're a team that they started the season in bad form, and obviously they
Mm-hmm.
had to juggle, CONCACAF Champions Cup as well.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're starting to look like the team a bit that won the Supporter Shield last year. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to watch. See how Atlanta responds to that home loss the other day. I think they were even winning in that game and ended up
Mm-hmm.
they gave up two quick goals to lose 2-1. So yeah, I would say DC, New York, Red Bulls, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami. Hell, even the Philadelphia, New York City FC. New York City FC hasn't been that bottom feeder team that they've been the last season and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
They've started to play much better. Philadelphia is actually in a bit of a spiral themselves this season. I thought they were going to be much better than the way they've started. They still
Mm-hmm.
have a good team and they're at home here, so this might be a bounce back game for them, or maybe we see an upset from New York City. So that'll be an interesting one. Honestly, yeah. Basically, all the 7:30 games are great except for that Montreal Columbus one. I would say don't watch it.
It's funny. I used to go to Montreal when they had a baseball team, and so I found it. I, to your point, okay, I honestly think that Montreal in sports, in North American sports, there's some cities where when you go there, the city is such that it kind of sucks you in, and your mind is not on why you're there. Okay, your mind is on, oh, let's go see, this, or let's go there, or let's go to this restaurant, or let's go, see this, whatever's going on. Montreal's one of those things. I mean, it's the only, think about it, it's the only place you're going to go where it's predominantly French speaking people. So you're not, you automatically are, it's as if you've transferred to a foreign country. Um, and there's a lot to do in Montreal, frankly, and a lot of things to distract you. So yeah, I mean, you're right. It's hard to play in Montreal because of a number of reasons. But you know, I found the same thing would happen with people going to play in, say, San Francisco or San Diego, sometimes even Chicago. It just depended upon where what was going on. There's so much to do in these areas that baseball is great or soccer is great or, whatever reason you happen to be, there for sports purposes. But it's also, there's a ton of stuff to do around it. Even with all due respect, Toronto's one of those cities as well. There's a lot of stuff to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, Toronto not so much. I totally agree with your points on Montreal, and that's a big
Mm-hmm.
reason. Like when I say it's not a fun place to travel to, I actually mean the opposite of what the sentence says, right? I mean it
Right,
as it's not a fun place to play in because,
right,
as you said, when they get there, it's like a Vegas. It's a
yeah.
new place. You don't go there often.
Mm-hmm.
It's super cold, which is a distraction in itself. It's always
Right.
cold there, but also, as you said, there's a lot of fun distractions to do in
Mm-hmm.
Montreal. Hell, the drinking age there is 18, which is lower than
Yeah.
the rest of the entire country. It's
Mm-hmm.
19 in Canada and obviously 21 in the States, but
Right.
18 in the province of Quebec. So this is what I mean is it's they got some different rules there. It's an inch, as you said, it's like going to another
Mm-hmm.
country. People not speaking the same language as you, all the ages are different. It's one of those places they're like, yeah, there's a lot to do. and I find a lot of teams perform badly. I don't know if it's a bit maybe because it's a bit of a longer travel, or it's cold, or it's all the distractions, or a mix of everything. But yeah, I find that a lot with a lot of teams that travel up there.
Hmm. Which is why Montreal, had actually Miami had never won in Montreal until until what was it, last week when they won 3-2. So it's a tough it's a fun place, but as you say, it's the opposite of what you said, right? And it is because it is fun to go there,
Because
but
I'm
not
speaking from the
but
handicapping percent, right? It's not
right.
fun for me as a
Right.
handicapper because I know this team's going to come up there and lay an egg, is what they're going to do.
They don't know what to do. And if it happens to be during the Montreal Jazz Fest or the Montreal Comedy Fest, forget about it. You're not
Oh yeah,
gonna.
they have that carnival as well type
Yeah,
thing.
that's
It's,
true.
it's not
Yeah.
like the South American one, but it's
No.
like it's like a frozen version basically. I've
Yeah.
been personally myself, so they have some they definitely have some crazy events and carnivals and things like that there.
Absolutely. On
Make
the
your own
late
maple
game,
syrup as well.
that's
and,
true.
every post corner, right? That's another thing. Who knows? These guys have probably never made maple syrup before in their entire life. Like you don't know. As a Canadian, that's something they teach us when you're young. You go to the local, sap farm, and they teach you all how to do it in the snow and stuff like that.
I will tell you that I can't tell you how many times I've been to Montreal, and the first thing that either the person I came with or the people that I'm working with want to do is go and get poutine.
Yeah, it's another one.
And, you're like, okay. I mean, I've had it many times. Um, there's actually some places in Toronto that make it better than Montreal, but okay, fair. Um, but it's that. I mean, it's the smoked meat vendors. I mean, which there are streets where you can go and literally, I mean, go. It's like going to deli heaven. I mean, it's phenomenal stuff. But all right, enough of the Montreal Chamber of Commerce work here that we're doing. Um, the late games, the games that we are going to see at either 9:30 or 10:30, depending upon where you are in the country.
Yeah, so it's funny because like I love all the 7:30 games, and
Mhm.
I honestly I love the 10 o'clock, 9:30 games too, and it works out well because I think that 8:30 slot is just a lot of like,
Mhm.
just watch your 7:30 games till they end, and then pick it up at the 9:30 slot because
Right.
I'll go over them, but like some of these 8 o'clock, some of these games, the 8 o'clock, Austin, Houston, like that's a fun derby, maybe if you're in Texas, but I have
Right.
no interest in either of those teams. Chicago and Charlotte, that's not one that's going to tickle my fancy. Minnesota and the Galaxy is maybe the only
Hmm.
one just because the Galaxy came out very strong in the first few weeks. They were at the
Mhm.
top of the table. Now they've regressed as I
Mhm.
thought they were going to. I didn't understand how they came out so as hot as they did. They're really not that good a team. This Minnesota team, though, I've talked a lot about my guy Timu Pukki there, who
Mhm.
they picked up from Norwich, and I love this Minnesota team. So that if you're gonna watch one 8 o'clock ish game, I would
Mhm.
suggest Minnesota and the Galaxy be the one. And then yeah, the other two in that window is Nashville, Toronto. I mean, nothing special there. And St. Louis, LAFC. I mean, LAFC. They've been terrible on the road. Exactly what I said. They were going to win
Mhm.
games at home this season, but this isn't the same team anymore. And you've seen it in their away record. Really,
Mhm.
they haven't been good away from home. So yeah, I would say of the 8 o'clock window, let's go with
Mhm.
Minnesota Galaxy. And then yeah, all the three later games, I absolutely love them all. Watch them all if you can.
Get them all in there. All right. Okay. Caitlin Clark made her debut last night in the WNBA, and she had a little bit of trouble, and the Fever lost. And look, I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this. It's a different game. It's a different game when you step in, no matter what. you go through, from college to professional, with anything. Um, as talented a person as Caitlin Clark is, there's a reason why she was drafted first, and that's because the Fever were terrible. Okay, she was making passes last night to people that didn't exist. You know, people would she just assumed they were going to be in the right spot. Well, you can't assume with the Fever. I There was a play, I swear to you, Amadeus. There was a play where she's coming down court. She's got that amazing peripheral vision. She throws the ball to this. I think it was her counterpart or guard, or the off guard. I guess the point guard. Throws it to the point guard, who's standing outside the arc with no one in between her and the basket, and she literally passes it to someone to the side of her, and you're like, she gave you a free three. Okay, that was one. Okay, you don't want to take the three? You could drive. There's nobody there. Okay, so her passes were oft times off the mark. And to be honest, they put a very talented rotation of players on her, and that were bigger than she was and physically bigger than she was, to wear her, kind of wear her out and frustrate her. And mission accomplished. They kept it close. Meaning the Fever, kept it close for 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter they couldn't. They run out of answers. But look, you and I know, because we've seen a lot of sports, that rookie openings do not a career make, or do not are not an indicator of what this person's going to be like whenever the time comes to mature as you go into.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, don't get me wrong, she played great. She had 20
Mhm.
points in the game. And that was her rookie debut. But as you said, she still needs a team around her, and that's my whole thing. Is there's a reason that the Fever drafted her. Okay, there's a reason they had that number one draft pick, because they're not a good team at all. They showed it last night. And yeah, we saw it doesn't matter how well she plays out there. If you're passing it to ghosts, and
Yeah,
the team's just not on the same page that you're on, then yeah, there's always going to be problems. But yeah, she showed potential. She had a great game, but absolutely, the team is not there. And like you said, there's a
not yet.
reason that she was drafted number one, obviously.
I remember probably one of my favorite quotes came from Doug Collins, who was the first coach of Michael Jordan when he got to the Bulls. And Jordan, through the first 3 games, it just didn't look good. I mean, it was a mess. And he didn't know. He started to doubt himself. And Doug pulled him aside and said, "Look, don't assume that everybody on this team knows how to play basketball." He said, he said, "That's your problem. You're assuming they know how to play basketball." He goes, "They don't." All right. He said, "That's why we drafted you. We will build around you. But this team right here, he goes, if you've got a shot, take it. If you don't have a shot, try to get one."
Just
It's
take
like,
it.
take it anyway. So Doug,
Michael, you're playing like everybody else is as good as you.
you're
You're
right.
not.
Don't. And Larry Bird, who was never at a loss for chatter on the court, never ever let him forget that. He goes, I bet you wish that was James Worthy over there, don't you? It's like, yeah, I bet he did. He did, by the way, make a pass in a game. A Lakers game that they were playing. He did make a pass to James Worthy, who was, of course, on the Lakers. So he did had a North Carolina flashback during that time. But look, it's the Pirates trotted out a pitcher the other day who was their number one draft choice, who would come meteorically up, and the kid didn't do badly. I mean, he threw 5 innings, didn't give up. I thought he gave up maybe a run, had some strikeouts. Mission accomplished. He did what he's supposed to
That
do.
was a hilarious game, Jim. I know the
Uh,
guy you're talking about, Paul Skeens, because as soon
yeah.
as he
Mhm.
left the game, both
Uh,
teams scored like 6 runs. The bullpens just went absolute garbage.
it was. Oh man, it was just totally.
It was like this kid goes out there, pitches the game of his life in his rookie debut, and then the
Right.
bullpen goes and just blows it all up.
It's. I remember when Steven Strasburg was at the National Park. We did the game. Strauss is. That was his major league debut. He strikes out 12, pitches 6 innings. Nobody touches him, but they haven't scored a run yet. So both teams had not scored a run. He ends up leaving the game, and he ends up losing the game because the following inning, they score 1 run, he loses 1-0. So by the way, if you
The
guys are
DeGrom syndrome.
near, what's that? Yeah, the DeGrom syndrome. Um, if you have a chance, I strongly recommend you can go on MLB.com or any another place if you haven't already seen it. Otani hit a home run last night out of Giant Stadium, and I mean out of Giant Stadium. I think how they take that lovely shot. Usually it's during the day because you can't really see it at night. Is Alcatraz that off in the distance, off when you hit the ball over the right field, it goes in the drink, but off in the distance they show you Alcatraz. I think he hit Alcatraz. I mean, the ball just never stopped. It's a good thing it didn't. It's a good thing it didn't go like a laser over and then right down. It would knock one of those canoes over.
Yeah.
So, wow. So, as I say, if you get a chance, it will be worth checking it out on MLB.com, or as I say, search it on YouTube, and I'm sure that you can find it. But our man Otani, who had his back was stiff the other day, doesn't seem to be a problem. And you mentioned as a designated hitter, don't worry about it, and you, sir, are correct in that regard.
Yeah, there's enough talent on that team, even without him.
Yep, Chipper Jones could have done it. You don't know. I mean, it would have worked. All right. So Chipper Jones could have, but Freddie Freeman is on the team, so that might have. I got my Atlanta first baseman mixed up. So anyway, speaking of winning, my friend, that's your cue. You got stuff for us today and some possible winners. You've been smoking hot at night in soccer on the pitch in South America.
Yes, definitely been crushing all leagues in soccer, but specifically in South America, I've been killing it in those leagues. So make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. I do have one NBA play if you want to go grab that for tonight. But yeah, for action on the pitch, I mean, there's tons. It feels like a Saturday today. There's leagues, almost, every league is playing in Europe, South America, and we have the MLS too. So, go check that out. You can get my Coppa Italia Game of the Year that starts at 3:00. So that's my
Still
big
have time.
play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got tons in Europe. I got a Premier League play, and then for some afternoon action, I got Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana, as well as 4 MLS plays. And I'll leave you with the free MLS play that I have, the over 3 in the Portland Timbers and San Jose Earthquakes game tonight. So
there you go. A free pick. Take advantage of it. All right, folks, we will be back tomorrow. And we'll focus on something we touched on the other day. We'll focus a little bit more on it. And that, of course, is the PGA Championship, which is going to be at Valhalla. And that, of course, is in Louisville, Kentucky. So tomorrow we will actually have some scores to post by the time we hit the airwaves. So we definitely hope that you come back, and always check Amadeus's content in the show box below. And we would like it very much if you hit the subscribe button and the follow us button and the share button, because that all, makes it easier for everybody to find us. Okay. All right, everyone. Have a great Thursday. Hope it's not raining where you are. It's always raining here. But hope it's not raining where you are. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.